I want to do a quick review on the understanding of how the respiratory muscles are used, particularly in our development, and unless we work with that later in life as well. How they're used for managing emotions, and these muscles are so used for suppressing, repressing, and moving emotions, somaticizing emotions, basically putting them into the body so that they don't have to be felt in that moment of difficulty or distress. And mostly it comes from childhood, from when we were feeling we would be unloved if we expressed a particular emotion or showed a particular emotion or acted that emotion out. So we learn how to repress and suppress and redirect those emotions into the body. Now, of course, the diaphragm is the main muscle of that. And there are lots of other muscles involved, including the scalenes, the pec minor, where we squeeze the shoulder blades forward here, potentially the psoas on either side of the legs, which is the big muscle that runs through from the lumbar spine onto the legs. Potentially we use those muscles as well. Any number of other muscles can be used to help in that process. The adductors inside the thighs to squeeze inwards. And undoing those patterns of emotional containment is part of the practices of physical yoga that we do. And those physical yoga practices, of course, are in and of themselves breath-based practices. If, as far as I'm concerned, if you're doing them well, then you will have a way of breathing deeply in that, and ideally with some kind of at least 4-second inhale, at least 4-second exhale, so that you can relax the nervous system fully into what you're doing as you're grounding and earthing and feeling into the body. And certainly if anybody's working with PTS, post-traumatic stress, we want to be working with that capacity to really relax the nervous system as we go in and liberate any held somatic patterns. So I want to mention that again, because with regard to breath holding, of course, that's why we do breath holding, out breath holding first. So the out breath holding then releases the diaphragm, it releases those respiratory muscles, so then we can go on and do in-breath holding, which is, again, a whole different feeling. But we don't want to be aggravating those holding patterns by holding the breath in the body for long periods of time first. I hope that makes lots of sense to you, and I think it's a really important piece of the puzzle that is not yet really understood in the Western world of how yoga has reached the Western world, or even in the yogic tradition in India. So I hope that's helpful. If you have any questions, of course, get in touch with me. And that's, again, like I said, one of the reasons why that capacity to open and liberate, emotionally liberate the diaphragm and clear out emotional debris first and foremost. Excellent. Thank you. Since you only have a certain amount of time to practice every day, like I said, I've been doing this stuff for decades now. It's really important to get strategic around your practice. So you have clear formal periods of practice. Half an hour in the morning, whatever you do, Sometime at lunchtime before you eat, even if it's just 10 minutes. Sometime before you go to bed. And you get really strategic with your discipline. And you understand the disciplines. I'm explaining to you how these practices work physiologically, so you have all the incentive to practice. And you'll notice when you don't practice, you'll notice how life gets complicated if you don't practice. That's interesting to notice. And then you catch yourself and you think, oh, that practice I did was so good. And you get back on the wagon of discipline. So every time you fall off the wagon of discipline, you're going to notice, and you're going to get back on the wagon of discipline again. So this practice is simply combining two practices to give us a bit more space in our life to work with other elements. So what we can draw together now is the Kapalabhati, the ANS balanced breath, with the DCLA, the Deep Central Line Awareness practice, the Mahaband, and put the two together into one practice. And that's a really helpful way of using your time well. So that practice goes like this. You've got the ANS balanced breath, the Kapalabhati. And you can go straight into the DCLA. Release. Relax. Conscious inhale. Micro hold the breath. Breathe out. So of course in that practice you're building carbon dioxide resilience as well. You're doing really good stuff. You're clearing through that carbon dioxide from the cells, clearing it out the lungs slightly, building the oxygenation in the blood tissues a little bit, getting the body fluids moving, and then building up that carbon dioxide resilience as well. And you can start to see how these practices work effectively together. So what we can do is we can work on the whole gas dynamics, the blood gas dynamics, and creating that fitness in the whole system. Excellent. That's a really good practice. Enjoy. Now, of course, by the way, I recommend doing this 5 times in the morning, 5 rounds in the morning, every single morning, right? If you're menstruating, it's good not to do the DCLA practice. So if you're bleeding, if you're in menstruation time, if you're in moon time, then you need that energy going down and out, not drawing in and up. So it's good not to do the DCLA practice during menstruation time. Some women really like the pumping breath during menstruation time. You may not. It might not work for you, but it might be amazing. It might feel amazing for you. So try it out. Try it. Test it, and then you'll find out for yourself. But you might find it's nice on day 1, but not on day 3, for example. Or it's horrible on day 1, but really nice on day 3 of your bleed time. So try with your menstruation and see what works well for you. See how it feels. But I would advise dropping the DCLA practice for the period of your menstruative flow for 3 or maybe even 4 days, depends on what your cycle is like. All right? But that's great to know that.